Welcome, everyone. I'll get the gallery up. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Hi. Hello. So sorry for being late. Being late to my own meeting. I don't think that's a good that's not a good thing to have happen, is it? So nice to see everyone. Welcome. I uh, uh, so this is our town hall meeting. And it's a chance for us to connect with our public. Valda is not here. Valda is in the hospital or in rehab center because she had a stroke in early November, and so she's in rehab. She sends her love and best wishes to everyone. She can talk and she can think, which I'm grateful for. And so this is a town hall meeting with myself and with Brett's facilitation, of course, and thank you all for attending. I know I have a great feeling for the purposes of our meeting and my crew being you all, and I know you wish the best for Valda and and for me too, hopefully. No, I know you do. So welcome to the town hall meeting and the truth we might discuss and talk about. It's a pleasure to be here. Well, and I don't really know quite where to start. So I have thought that I might choose to read a few things from my forthcoming book, which will hopefully be titled Suffering Needlessly. And I have I've done my share of that, by the way, and I don't know anyone who hasn't. But I do know the principles provide an answer that that we're all deeply grateful for. In that, if we realize how we use those principles, really create a potential for in our lives of love and understanding, beyond our suffering, beyond our beyond anything we really quite deserve. I think we're in good community with one another. So I'm happy to be here. The principles really have been a guiding light for many of us, and I presume all of us on this call, and I'm grateful for that wisdom to be of guide to us. So that said, anyone have any thoughts or questions or comments or anything to hear from the town that this great town that I have out there of of spiritual brothers and sisters. um,
Hi, Keith.
Hi, Gail.
Hello, hello. So very good to see you. Thank you for doing this, of course. I'm avidly looking through your videos on resilience that you've posted so nicely, and I can't get
Wow.
enough of it. I feel very resilient already. And I don't know, there's not any particular question. If you have some time, I just would like you to kind of expound on that a little bit, just the whole idea of resilience. I think it's probably pretty fitting for you and Valdo now to consider that. Yeah. So
Oh,
anything that's pretty general, right? So anything
oh,
that you
no,
like
no,
to.
thank you. You're striking a chord for sure, Gil. As those videos attest, hopefully, resilience. When I realized that the principles really account for resilience, resilience has been something that has been uh, with human beings for all time. Some sort of inexplicable yet true fallback of wisdom and truth in any circumstance, in any situation, in any difficulty, in any there's always resilience. There's always been resilience, but in my mind, the principles really provide for a very simple comprehension of what is resilience and the strength it affords us to be genuine in the moment with our best selves and who we are in principle. And and I've seen the work of it of late, by the way, as regards to my circumstances and situations. I've been surprised that I personally have been able to be as grounded as I have been in the moment, and loving and positive and what have you. By and large, I've had a few moments, and when I just spoke to Valda right before this call, and she's resilient too. Like, she's in a situation, she's in a very foreign situation for her. She's in a nursing home. She's paralyzed partially on her left side. She has nerve. She was up most of the night with nerve pain, which is a very troubling pain if any one of you have ever had it, in her hand and leg, left leg and left hand and left arm, and she has she has a very negative roommate. She has good care from her from the caregivers. She's delighted and impressed and touched by their love. I can't go see her this weekend, or maybe extended beyond because of COVID. So those are really not very pretty circumstances, um, as you all can imagine. But she's in there. She's been a guiding light, for me. This is just one little story, but I was over there last week, and I was putting some lotion on her right hand and arm and such that are not so painful. And she's you guys will appreciate this, I think. She looks at me and she says, "I don't want you feeling sorry for me." And it uh, kind of made me bolt upright a bit, like because I was busted. She busted me because I was there. I was actually thinking and thereby feeling sorry for her and a little and sorry for myself and sorry for this situation and circumstance. And she spotted it, and she must have seen the attitude in my demeanor and in my face. And I heard her, and I dropped it. I dropped that sort of attitude, and I realized, and I was that, and I found resilience again by virtue of this innermost truth that that quiets us down, in the midst of our pathologies and doubts and insecurities, et cetera, that I was thinking about and being in. It kind of reset me, and so that's that's one story of resilience in the moment that I keep finding, and I know many of you, well, all of you, I presume all of you know what I'm talking about, and I'm grateful for what the principles reveal about that and about human nature that is affords us a kind of a transcendence of the of our little selves and our little insecurities and doubts and fears and et cetera, et cetera.
I'm sure that's a better place for you to help her find her resilience or to stay in her resilience.
I think she's doing remarkably well, like, but I would really like here she is helping me, and God bless her. I mean, she, as you all know, she's a guiding light, in that regard. And she can't help but be that way. Like that's kind of who, and that's who we all are, I think, really. Yeah. So her.
So I would really like to get, if there's some way I can email to her, just to say hi and wish her well, or if there's some way I could even write a card or a letter, so.
Well, I appreciate that, Gil. In fact, I didn't know this until yesterday, but I think she actually has an email account that I wasn't really quite aware of that existed. That is her name, Valda Monroe, at Gmail. And I've never even opened the account to look at what's in there, if anything. But she's never been. She's always kind of sort of had her own privacy, and kind of as she would say, sort of swam in the how like a little baby fish will swim with its mother, but there's a kind of a slipstream that the baby can be in. So she kind of has slipstreamed with me, and always used my email. But there's that email, and if there's any cards or anything like that, and I found that she hasn't really wanted to talk to people very much. Her daughter, our daughter, and our grandson has visited. And he's 6 months old, and she lights up when she sees him, and her daughter, and myself, and but she's but I've noticed that she gets a kick out of cards, which kind of surprised me, but it spoke to her, but she's been very laying low, which I'm sure you all can appreciate. And so if you wanted to send a card, you could send it to my address on my email, and I'll see to it that she gets it.
Right.
Yeah. So resilience is real. It's a real thing. It's a wordless thing, isn't it? It's a wordless spiritual thing, but it's real. You're welcome, Gil. Thank you for asking, and thank you very much. Any other anyone else? See so many friends and faces here. Everybody. It's funny, you want to wait. Hi. Hi. Oh my gosh.
Okay, I think Shadrach would like to say something. Shadrach?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Keith.
Where are you? Go ahead.
Just to say, give Avelda our love, and thanks for giving us the update on what is happening there. I came to ask you to let us know where you're at with the book, but I see you're probably going to tell us, since you said you're going to read something from it.
I thought I was thinking that I might do that. But I would, and I don't really have the reference to. It's continuing along, but I don't know. I feel like it's I don't know. I'm making progress. Let's just say it that way. And but the thing that I'll share one piece. Chadwick, thank you for mentioning that. That Sidney Banks wrote in this work that he gave me. He said that if you, and I realized that he was saying this throughout the years, but somehow it really clicked for me when I read it in this text, was that mind, consciousness, and thought, and either any one of them, if you use any one of those gifts properly, that you must land, or you must create a state of love and true understanding. and I found that to be really meaningful for me. That because when I lose my way, again, you could call it resilience, but finding my way back to a state of love and true understanding is it's kind of like a guidance, isn't it? Like a path or a beacon or some reconnection to these principles really makes me stronger and makes me more mentally healthy. And I've taken great measure from that piece of writing, as several other things in the book, but that's that. And I was going to read that, although I just said it. So, but he would say mind is this, but if you use mind properly, that's what you're going to get. Consciousness is this, but if you use consciousness properly, that's what you're going to get. Thought is this, but if you use thought properly, that's what you're going to get. Well, that was like a really such a simple assertion, that because that's what I want, and I know that's what we all want, and that everyone is really searching for, and the principles are are an embodiment of that potential. And so that's what that's what I was going to. This is what I have to share about that, and I think that's really in my own vernacular, I might say, ain't that great that that's possible for me and for anyone, and that we already are endowed with that, with those gifts, and as we use them better, that's what we get. So that's quite a and you can feel that, can't you? You can feel that sort of quality.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, moving on. Stephanie.
Yeah, Stephanie.
Hi.
Hi.
I love that. Thank you. It's great to see you, and I'm sorry to hear about Valda. Just from what you just said, I'm curious about, from how you see it right now, how would you describe using them properly?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because I think that involves a kind of a moment-to-moment learning and relearning, doesn't it? It's sort of like I don't know, you like in my own life, I do I do I do use them improperly, I have to admit, and and I don't know anyone who doesn't. And I think but I think that's a sort of it's kind of a learning curve, isn't it? It's sort of like making adjustments and dropping things, like that was a dropping of, for example, you know, of Valda busting me on feeling sorry for her. I think that I was using them not so well, you know, and but something happened to me when she said that. It sort of, it reminded me, oh yeah, there's deeper water here. There's better, there's a better reality that I wasn't really in, you know. And so I think that I think using them, using the principles properly is a kind of a challenge, but it's a sort of it's a learning curve. See, you know, and I think it raises your level, you know, as you go along. You find a way to be to be better, you know. But I think properly, improperly, uh, that there's a kind of a feeling feedback connection that you already, that we all already have, but it asks something of you to at times to have a change of heart, or to quit you know, I had to quit feeling sorry for her and myself. And I think that's I love that. I love that you know, you're never not in need of self-correction, you know, or of change, you know. And the principles promise change, really promise evolution, promise conscious fulfillment. And and in truth, I'm up for that, you know. I don't know anyone among you that isn't up for that. You all have proven yourselves to be of those, of that. This is you know, you're members of that club. And I think that's a pretty good way to be, you know. Like I don't think you ever quit learning, you know, and evolving, because in a Sid charted, he said that levels of consciousness are infinite. It's not like you know, I'm there, I've got it all sorted. It's not, it's infinite. So something that's infinite can't be it's not finite. You know, it's not, well, I've got a good mood, I've got it all sorted. It's not finite. It's an open door for more for more blessing, really, you know. And we're giving that, we're given that you know, opportunity, you know. And in my best moments, I grab that opportunity. In my worst levels, not so much. But you know, I get frightened or defensive, but still, it calls to my heart and soul, you know, to keep learning how to use the principles better. for the rest of for however long.
Kate, a couple of things that you said that I think might be useful for people to know more about. First one is, what does using the principles mean? I mean, sometimes people can pick up a sense of, oh, if I'm using the principles, right, then I can do something about it before I have the experience, right? Which I don't think is the point. So would you mind saying more about that aspect? Because just to remove the possibility that people can carry something away with them that might not be so helpful for them.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. I think that's good to you know, to get a better take on, you know, because it's almost like the principles must be like sort of like a gift, the spiritual gifts, and they provide, but they also are not. You don't do the principles. The principles sort of offer a chance to be, you know, to get closer to God, really, you know, and however you think about that, but to get so they're a connection, and they're a divine connection, and so by using them, you're not really obligated. You're invited, but you're I don't know, you're you know, it calls upon you. This just occurs to me. But one time, many years ago, a few years ago now, we were at a campfire, or kind of like a fire pit, and there were people that had there were visitors there, and so it might not be unlike what this is right here. If we had a fire in the middle of this gallery burning, and we're all kind of standing around and feeling the heat of it, and enjoying the time together. So someone asked Valda, they said, now you've been around Sid Banks for many years now, and experienced all these different had all these different experiences, and what one word would you say that would be that would characterize your experience of this truth, and what Sid has you know, shared with you? And she thought for a few moments, and then said, confrontational. And that was a little of a surprising word, to hear her say that. But I think in the confrontational of something greater than ourselves, in the confrontation of something greater than ourselves, is not really, it's not really yours to manipulate. Certainly, it's not that at all. It asks something of you to respect and listen to and be. It's a calling. It's not an accomplishment. That's why by the way, and many of you have seen the implications that we composed. Right at the very top, it says implications, not, with a big not, applications. And I think we were trying to convey the spiritual nature of something that is not a doing. It's an offering. It's a being. It takes something away of your egotism and your your limitedness. And so thanks for mentioning that, Brett, because if we can do any underlining of that, that would be great, because it's not of that nature. It's a nature that is helpful to you, but that you're not. But you didn't create that. You don't create that. That creates you, or creates this feeling of grace and humility and gratitude. It creates a feeling of gratitude, and like when I just in speaking to Valda just a few minutes before this meeting, as she said, we are so fortunate, and she was singing that song, and I know she knows that, and she feels that, and I think through that feeling of gratitude, you one of the things that Valda said too, and I know I probably shared this in the past, but she said that when she was a teenager, she went to church a lot, and her mom insisted that she go. Every Sunday she would say to her mom, "Now, Mom, are you going to make me go to church?" And her mother would say, "Yes, Valda, I'm going to make you go to church." And and she'd ask it again. She wasn't really. She went there. She sang in the choir. She sang, and her uncle was on one side of her, and her aunt was on another, and her mother's there, etc. But she didn't really. But she used that, as Valda tells, that when in Sunday school, when the teacher, because she would be acting out, and she'd be visiting and enjoying herself and connecting with her fellow friends, and the teacher would often say, "Valda, why are you here?" And Valda would say, my mother made me come. I'm not here of my own accord. My mother brought me, and she insisted. But in that story, Valda simultaneously will say, and has said, that if someone would have come up to her and said, would you like to get closer to God? She would have always said, absolutely. Tell me anything about that. I would love to know as much as, thank you for asking. Yes. And she said she would, and when she told me that, I thought isn't that a wonderful attitude for a teenager to have? Now but she said no one ever asked that question. And she felt so fortunate to have met Sydney Banks because he asked that question. Wouldn't you too like to be closer to God? And she thought, well, it's, that's a welcome thought, that, and she had to say yes to that, because it was a a really wonderful thing on offer, and she found something there in Sid, surprisingly. She wasn't looking for it, but that's what he had on offer, and it really, she got on board with that right away. Well, I'm up for that, like she had been and would have been as a teenager. She knew kind of where her bread was buttered, actually, in the best of times. She would know that, and she would surrender, not anything less than tell me what you got. And I have to really respect her for that, and I do respect her for that, and I think that that's a spirit of openness and of willingness to be touched by God. If you're willing to be touched by God, I think that's good on you, good on you, good on me, good on all of us. That's the kind of thing that you ought to be like that. We all ought to be, as best we can. So it's not used. So again, to Brett's question, it's not a proving, it's not a it's a gift. You've been given a gift of these principles, and you're born with them. And so, and I was always struck by something that Sid said about this in one of the quotes that I garnered for a workshop that Brett was there for, and I see several people here that were there for. But one of the things that was, I'll read it because I think it's very worthwhile. He says, hold on, I'm going to get there. Even if I can't read it, I may even have it very well memorized. But he said, that's why he said, that's why I keep talking about thought, because I know that's how I found it, is via thought. So in my mind, it's thought as a power, is that he found that that was the vehicle that he found within, not within his little thoughts, but in thought. That thought has a place, that the entire universe is thought. And the most incredible thing that can happen to anybody in the world is to realize the power of thought. There's nothing in this world stronger than the power of thought. The power of thought is not self-created. And oh, here it is. Actually, I have it outlined. A bad marriage is created from thought. A happy life is created from thought. A sad life is created from thought. That's why I keep talking about thought, because I know that's how I found it, via thought. So within that, and I think that's might be what he's saying as regards to what thought provides, is a an opening, a doorway, a vehicle, transportation to something that we're all looking for. And it is within, not within my ego thought, but within thought. And he always talked about that, and he always contrasted, like he did here, a bad marriage or a sad life or a happy life, as products, but as a true a truth. That and he said, another thing he said that I got a lot from this. He said, this is why this is why we fight with each other. We fight because one person's belief is true to them, another person's belief is true to them, and then we fight with each other trying to prove our own individualized little truths. But the truth that I'm talking about is, I'm not talking about that kind of truth. That's a mind belief truth. I'm talking about truth, where everybody's truth is the same. And that's the truth that I want to, that I want to be guided by. And there is no, and he said once, we were having a conversation somewhere in a hotel room somewhere. I don't remember where it was. I think it was in Miami, but he said, no two enlightened people could ever disagree. And so I thought, that really hit me. And I thought, well, if that's true, then what's all this conflict and tension and proving and judging and all these disagreements that we go through in our own little ego worlds of my belief system and your belief system and who's right and who's wrong, all that would be for naught. And that's why he said we fight with each other. And there's something beyond that the principles are. And he found what he found there through that thought. And that was not self-created. I'll drink to that. Gonna pour myself some water here. Thank you, Brett. Did you have another thing to say, Brett? Okay.
If anything,
I'm sorry, say again.
if anything, we're also highlighting how the principles are also neutral, because when we use it wisely, we get something positive out of it. When we use it negatively, we get something negative out of it, right? So I don't know what or who it is that's using the principles, but at the same time, I know enough about the principles not to go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, one of the things I've learned is that if the principles are neutral, then it makes it difficult for me to blame the principles if I'm having a negative experience. It's not fault, it's the principle's fault, that kind of thing. So it kind of de-objectified the three principles for me. And then when I de-objectified it, that was when I saw something different. And I'm like, there was something about keeping the principles formless that somehow self-corrected me. I don't know how, but it did. So I'm happy now to go through life knowing that the principles are in existence. But beyond that, I couldn't say what they are. So that's why I think we keep talking about it as in, what do the principles do? How can we make better use of it, rather than talking about what are the principles? So, and saying that they're neutral means that I also couldn't blame events or circumstances or other people for the way I feel, because my experience is coming from how I'm using the principles in the moment. So it's not the event, it's not the people. So again, that was another thing that I was looking in that direction, but now I don't, or not as much. So and also, and this is the word that Valda said a lot, which is constant. Right? So we use the principles well sometimes, we use the principles not so well sometimes, right? But the more I'm saying that I'm using the principles to have an experience, the more I see how it is ever present. So I started to see that I must be using the principles all the time. Is there a moment I'm not using the principles?
Yeah. Is that possible?
So, yeah, indeed. So that made me wonder. Of all the time that I think I have a completely quiet mind, as in I'm not using anything, I'm not using the principle, there's nothing whatsoever, I'm kind of going, well, I must be using the principles in that moment as well. So it got me thinking about all the moments I thought I had nothing to do with the principles. And now I'm having to bring in the principles to consider what's happening in my own experience.
Mm.
So the idea that they're neutral and constant has done something for me, as it did for Valda, obviously. She set it all up. That was what I heard. I was listening to you talk, Keith.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. That's beautiful. And in addition, you know, I mean, as if you could offer anything else to that, but that they because of that dynamic, they're predictive, like the principles have, but they're predictive in that there's guidance in there, but it's predictive. Like when you go to help people, like I feel like I can finally stand on solid ground, you know, and I don't know, it's not a solid ground of, but I can know, well, you know, I can know that if you're having trouble, you know, negativity, disconnection, fear, then maybe you don't know the principles, you know, that, you know, like, I don't mean that in a judgmental way, but I mean like in a you know, in a sharing way, or in a way of revealing something about exactly where might that negativity actually be coming from. It's not really, it can't be coming from the principles, because but knowing how that works is very predictive, and it gives us a guidance and a direction. There's direction therein, because it shows the you know, doesn't it show the measliness and the you know, it shows something about the pettiness of our judgment and our fears, and I remember something that Sandy Krotz said once. I don't know if she's on here or not, but I don't see her name. But she said, she asked Sid once, well, what about free will? And Sid said, in effect, said, well, you really don't have free will. You just think you do. There's only the will of God, and that was sort of like, I had to really consider that for a while. What you're saying pertains to that, Brett, because that being the case, in this, then my, and I don't know if this is some prayer, but it's just a phrase I remember somebody saying, not my will, O Lord. So that, you know, there's a sense there of the truth being, you know, not of your, it's again, it's not of your little mind. It's there is one truth and one will, and you know, I'm very close to being out of my league in terms of talking about that, but I'm trying. trying to talk about it, that it's then you become, in effect, I mean, I think we become more and more selfless, more and more um, um, better listeners and better better teachers, better sharers, better um, better people, because it does temper that ego voice of mine and yours, and it's nice to know that there's, I don't know, there's help for us all, and back to that thing that I said right at the beginning, that the title "Suffering Needlessly," that there's something, the needlessness of suffering. I think highlights the principles as not that the needlessness, the needlessly-ness of that is ego, and that's why I mean, I really like that title, because and lo and behold, it was right in Sid's recommendation when he gave me this book. He wrote on the cover. He put this. I think it's in blue ink. If I had it here, I might. Oh, here it is. So this is my original rough copy, and I said, don't. I wrote this is to myself. Don't change this part. I don't want to. I want to have an original piece. So in the first, as you can see, or you might see, on the first page, Sid writes in red ink. It says "may go on cover?" ? And then in green ink, he writes, one of the main reasons I'm honored to see Dr. Blevins write this book is that it may bring hope to those who are suffering needlessly. So I said, oh, there it is right there, suffering needlessly. And bring answers to the therapists who are searching for the missing link that psychology and psychiatry have been searching for. So I mean, it just says it all very succinctly in my mind of this individual's, lament and confusion, etc., allowed by the principles, but yet gives us a way to create suffering needlessly, but not. It allows us to create it, but it doesn't require it. It's not. It's that's more on us, and I don't mean that in a judgmental way, but the opportunity to see for our field in psychology and psychiatry, and those interested in psyche, and seeing what is psyche, which he defines so beautifully, I think, in Second Chance. He said psyche it's not a thing or a thought. It's a gift, and it acts as a catalyst. So a catalyst is something that acts on a substance to make it be what it promises to be, but the catalyst is inert, neutral, um, not it acts on a substance. I've used this example a lot with glue that I wanted once, and the hardware store guy says, this is the best glue in the world, but be careful, don't get it on you because it'll weld your fingers together. There's a little packet and it had a clear substance on the left and a kind of a mildly yellow substance on the right. And how to use it is you break the seal and you mix it, and the catalyst acts on the glue. The glue is nothing without the catalyst. So the catalyst really has the power, but it acts, and so Sid defined, he said, psyche acts as a catalyst. Mind acts as a catalyst. It's not a thing or a thought, but it acts as a catalyst and turns our thought, whether conscious or unconscious, or positive or negative. It didn't say that in that definition in Second Chance, but I'm adding that. But clearly, positive or negative, it acts as a catalyst and turns that into the reality we see, we now see, into the reality we now see. I thought, wow, that's a dynamic definition of mind acting as a catalyst and giving me my experience of the reality I now see. And sometimes it's a fearful one, and sometimes not. But that's where the use comes. You know, you're given this gift, these three gifts, but in the utilization of these gifts is the chance for heaven, or if you want to marvel in negativity or hate or whatever, then that you're going to get that feeling and that experience. But that's not, you can't really blame mind, consciousness, and thought for that. They're not really they're not on the I don't know, I don't even know the right word here. They're not on the they're not responsible in a way. Free will, so that's the beautiful relationship we have to truth. We reap what we sow, but in the there's the capability. I mean, that's really a remarkable thing. That agriculture works. You know, that my God, we get to reap what we sow. I mean, that's like what a wonderful endeavor. But it's also we're all farmers here. You know, we're all we're all servants of that master, and we're given this freedom, and what we get is what we give, you know, and it's brutal sometimes, but it's also there's in the brutality of that negativity or that disappointment or egotism is a chance to be, you know, to be a better farmer, because we're all working our plots. You know, we're all working our soil, and that's where the real blessing comes in, I think, you know, for all of us. We're given these gifts and then said, what are you going to do? You know, what are you going to make? What are you going to grow? I'm not trying to be corny here, but well, I guess it's a little corny, but I just remember I think it's a Beatles phrase or whatever that said, and in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. And I think that's true.
Miriam,
Hi, Keith. I don't know if I've got good enough signal here. If I don't, just let me know and I'll stop.
You're loud and clear, Miriam.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I just
How are
was
you?
thinking about something that would be interesting to kind of share that keeps coming to my mind as you're talking. And how very interesting, but the fact that we're living in thought can give us the courage to do things that we may intuitively think are better not to do, or should be avoided, or we should stay safe. But the courage to meet things which need to be met in a kind of in a very proactive way, rather than in a, oh, let's just Pollyannize everything, but rather to have that courage to face facts as they actually are, and not deceive ourselves that they are not as they are. So that was just an interesting experience that I had recently, thanks to your, you know, education of this subject. And what I found fascinating, this was just an interesting little kind of wave that happened to me of awareness, lack of awareness, and it was like this courage that just came to meet life as it really was. The amount of the consequences of that were very, very positive and powerful. Then, because I had such an amazing result from that, I began to attribute power to something other than thought, because it just looked so huge, the result. And then I began to get outside in just about so many things, because things looked like they meant something. And then it hit me that, oh, actually, I'm just outside in because I'm beginning to attribute power to things other than thought. And I immediately kind of not only had the reaping of what I had sowed, but then not suffering after that, but actually being on a, you know, continuous ability to just keep reaping the value of knowing that I'm thinking, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, that's I hear you. What good fortune that is to well, to keep learning, I mean, I think we all know, sometimes you get such, you can get such beautiful results that you think, then you start, like you said, you start to, you can get outside in about that, even about that, and then you learn, oh no, that's it, not my will, but thine, O Lord. Um, and then you go, and then you become more grateful, rather than egotistical, because there's always that risk, isn't there, to become egotistical. I think it's sort of like it keeps us honest, or if we're listening, it keeps us honest, so we're not so um, uh, full of ourselves,
Also, like, it gives us the chance to keep reaping that value, because as soon as we attribute power to the thing that we got as a result of not attributing power to it,
Yeah.
we begin to leech everything we've gained. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
push, that kind of shove back to reality that the ego gives us, if we know what it's doing,
Yeah.
it actually shoves us back into enjoying life, or pleasure, or gratefulness, or whatever you describe it as, because it's doing us a favor to give us that needless suffering is the biggest favor, because it shoves us back to needless happiness.
Undeserved, needless, going beyond needless suffering to undeserved happiness. There you go, right there. That's it. Undeserved in a sense, like it's a blessing, not an achievement. Very, very well said, Miriam. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else? I see we got 5 more minutes or so. Ah. Hmm. Well, I'll say this, and then we could maybe we can just stop. Now I'm remembering something. There's a recording that I requested Brett to send to someone I'm working with currently, and it's called The Quiet Mind. And again, I'm paraphrasing here, but I think it opens with Sid saying something akin to this, but Brett, and I don't know if this is possible, but I wouldn't mind it if everybody listened to this recording that we had. If we could send it, I don't know if this is possible. If we could send it, I know this is a big job I just did. I'm volunteering Brett for, because I had no idea how he did this, but in this recording of called The Quiet Mind, again paraphrasing, Sid says, I could almost say to you, hear the silence, because it's in a silent mind that truth reveals itself. Something to that effect. And I was reminded of that, the quiet of this group. And I really appreciate you all joining us here today, and communing with us, and and sharing with us, and sharing with us even in our silence with one another is a great feeling of value. And so thank you all very much for joining the town hall and this town hall, and I appreciate the time we spent together. Thank you. So we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Keith,
Thank
well
you.
done.
Thank you.
Regards to Velda.
Thank you.
Trustee Dolan.
Oh, thank you so much. Khalifa, thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming. I'm closing the meeting now. Take care. Bye-bye.
You, Brett.
Thank you very much.